Hey, folks. It feels great to be back at this cultural forum. Some of you are familiar faces, and some are newbies. To the newbies, sorry in advance, I'm a heavy smoker, and I can't give a lively talk without a cigarette. Let me light one up real quick. Today, we're delving into Yangming's school of heart and why it still matters today. Yangming, a big-shot thinker from China's Ming dynasty, used to be a household name in China. Well, that's how it went in the history books. I'm not sure if he's still a household name these days. His school of heart ideas and his most important work, Instructions for Practical Living, made a huge impact. In fact, it's required reading for every Chinese student, at least in Taiwan. I wonder if it holds the same weight in mainland China. In Taiwan, they also call it the Instructions for Practical Living, and it's a must-read. Yangming's school of heart is like the crowning jewel of Chinese philosophy, which is all about the philosophy of life. So you can say his school of heart is the ultimate life philosophy in China. Instructions for Practical Living is a book that every Chinese person should get their hands on, just like how Christians consider the Bible a must-read. It's a shame that this treasure trove of Chinese philosophy and the tradition of teaching philosophy have been neglected for so long. Yesterday, today, and maybe even now, the hearts of countless parents and students in China are filled with anxiety about the results of the college entrance exams. We get it, it's a big deal. But what really matters for the next generation? What's our main duty to them? It's actually all about guiding them to build their own spiritual haven, where they can find inner peace and a sense of purpose as they navigate through life. Prosperity or poverty, success or failure, it's all up to fate. I vaguely remember giving a talk about fortune-telling at this cultural forum. The first thing I said was, "Do you think fate plays a role?" I once made a statement, and later the philosophy department at Fudan University attributed it to Wang Defeng. What did I say? Well, I said that when someone hits 40 and still doesn't believe in destiny, it shows they're not very insightful. It's understandable for young folks to be skeptical, but if a person reaches 40 and still hasn't grasped the concept of fate, it means they're missing out on understanding the most fundamental aspects of life. It's not about intelligence, it's about failing to grasp the core elements of human existence. Once we've lived long enough and gained some life experience, we start to realize that each of us has our own path in life. Take, for instance, the circumstances of our birth and the family we're born into. We have no say in that. You might luck out and be born into a poor farmer's family, while she might end up being born into a rich family. We all accept that fate plays a role in this aspect. However, when it comes to other things, we don't believe that fate controls everything. Mencius, 4th century BCE, words are actually pretty important. He said, "In life, we're always seeking something, but there are two ways to seek. The first way is when we actively pursue something, and if we put in the effort, we'll get it. The benefit of this kind of seeking is a direct result of the effort we put in. That's one way. The second way is different." Mencius said, "There's a certain path to seeking, and fate plays a role in what we get. The benefit of this kind of seeking may not be directly attributable to our effort. What we get may be affected by external factors." When a high school graduate is getting ready for the college entrance exam, they have to work hard, and that's a form of seeking. What are they seeking? Well, they want a good score on the exam and ultimately admission to a top-notch university. Is this the first type or the second type of seeking that Mencius talked about? I think it falls into the second category. Seek with a method, study hard. Have a good plan. Now, when it comes to achieving a score that gets you into Peking University, Tsinghua University, or Fudan University, that's where fate comes into play. In the first kind of seeking, you study diligently, broaden your knowledge, improve your skills and gain what you seek. The benefit of this kind of seeking is directly attributable to the effort you put in. So, during the process of reviewing and preparing for the college entrance exam, there are two different types of seeking involved. Back in 1978, when I took the exam, the Gang of Four was still in power, and the Cultural Revolution hadn't come to an end. I was studying at a secondary school, but the education I received was quite incomplete. You know, that was the kind of era we were living in, right? After graduating from secondary school, I worked as a laborer in a factory for 3.5 years. Then, I decided to give the college entrance exam another shot. However, my preparation was far from adequate. When I walked into the exam room and received the test paper, I felt really nervous and restless. But as I went through the questions, I realized that any question I couldn't answer wasn't even included in the exam, while the questions I could answer were exactly the ones that appeared. The topics I struggled with were conveniently left out, and the ones I understood were the ones they asked. I somehow managed to pass and got accepted into Fudan University. This may sound unbelievable, but it's a true story, not an exaggeration. Then, in the 1990s, after 1992, I started getting into fortune-telling and reading my own destiny. To my surprise, I discovered something interesting. Guess what? My destiny was tied to Wenchang Xing, the Wenchang star. It has two great advantages. First, it can turn bad luck into good luck, and second, it brings exceptional academic fortune. I deeply experienced the impact of academic fortune, and I realized that obtaining it was a matter of fate. Considering the level of my knowledge at that time, to be honest, getting into Shanghai Normal University was already quite impressive. But our choices for university application were limited, you know? We had only 4 options. Naturally, I wanted to give Fudan University a shot. But honestly, I didn't expect to actually get accepted. Fudan University was my top choice, followed by Shanghai East China Normal University, Shanghai International Studies University, and Shanghai Normal University. I thought it would be a major achievement if I could get into a normal university, and I had a strong desire to become a high school teacher. But unexpectedly, I got accepted into Fudan University. Why? So when I set foot in Fudan University, deep down, I knew I didn't really deserve it. It was all thanks to my incredibly good academic luck that brought me there. After reading Mencius' writings, I realized he was onto something. When you're prepping for exams like the TOEFL or GRE, it's definitely worth giving it your all, but whether you end up with a score that can get you into Harvard or not isn't really in your hands. However, all that time you spend studying and reviewing won't go to waste. Your overall English skills will improve, and that's what we mean by, you gain something as you seek. If you don't put in the work, you won't see any progress in your English, you miss out on, you give up. The pursuit lies within you. As for needing to nail a super high score on the GRE or TOEFL, that falls under seeking, but you get it from uncontrollable external factors. It's a simple truth, but you'll probably start believing in it when you hit around 40 years old. Let's talk about the top-notch achievement of Chinese philosophy, Wang Yangming School of Heart. Why should we Chinese folks revisit Wang Yangming School of Heart in the 21st century? In today's China, desires are running wild, and there are all sorts of temptations. For example, look at the recent stock market frenzy that's blown the minds of people from other countries. It's mind-blowing how it's gone beyond what their financial experts expected. A few days back, I went to Yangming supermarket to buy some stuff. It's a pretty big supermarket, you know? I wanted to get a desk lamp, but I couldn't find anyone around. Later, I saw them all huddled up in one corner, glued to their phones. I wondered what they were up to. Were they having a secret meeting or something? Then suddenly, someone shouted, it hit the daily limit. Turns out one of the Yangming salespeople was trading stocks on their phone. I don't mean to judge, but I found this whole thing pretty darn interesting. Someone told me they never understood finance, while others said that in the US, individual investors make up what percentage of the stock market? Only 2%, and the majority of funds are invested in what? Financial institutions. I know a CEO of a state-owned company who told me that during this time, our meetings have to be scheduled after 3 p.m. cause before 3 p.m., when you're giving a presentation, everyone's just staring at their phones. By the time you finish, they've already made several trades. In these 30-plus years of reform and opening up, the Chinese people have developed a certain mindset. Everyone hustles to make their own gains, following the law and leaving the future to the next generation. It's understandable and all, no doubt about it. But if this mindset puts material gains above moral values, our nation will suffer from internal unrest and lose its credibility internationally. Our GDP has skyrocketed, and we've even surpassed Japan to become the world's second-largest economy. We've got loads of capital flowing in and out like water. But here's the thing, a nation can't rely solely on its currency to find its purpose and live peacefully. The real issue we're facing in contemporary Chinese society is a widespread lack of trust among people. It's the fundamental ailment we need to address. Just like Sun Yat-sen said back in the day, we were once a bunch of scattered individuals, and now it feels like we're back to square one. How do we feel when we see kids and parents battling it out in court? What about siblings tearing each other apart over a measly inheritance? So, what does it take for this nation to rise up? That's the real question. We're still struggling to find our footing both internally and on the global stage. How do we rise up? Is it through religion? Well, the Chinese people aren't really known for being religious. We don't have a higher power calling the shots. So, what's the answer then? Throughout history, China has found strength in philosophy. Sure, we've got some religious folks in our country, like Christians. Chinese Christians might seem similar to their European counterparts on the outside. They go to church, say grace before meals, you know, the usual religious stuff. But what's actually going on in their heads when they pray? Do they think like European Christians? So, what might Chinese Christians think about during prayer? Well, let's say they're praying for their son who's taking the college entrance exam. They might be like, "Hey, God, I've been loyal to you, so please help my son succeed." They're not really pondering over the salvation of their souls, thinking, "Only you, Lord, can save my sinful soul." Those Western theological concepts just don't resonate with Chinese Christians. Religion isn't all about finding happiness in this world, it's about finding peace for your soul. Many Chinese Christians still hold on to their Chinese values when they pray to God.